Capcom's Monster Hunter series has been growing in popularity over the last few years, steadily becoming one of the most important online multiplayer games in people's collections. And in the latest installment, Capcom looked to address some of the key feedback points fans have had from previous installments to make a more accessible game on Nintendo's hit console. But don't take my word for it, let's hear from someone who has put the time in to see what Monster Hunter Rise is all about. The OLL community's very own Vagarous. Welcome to Critical Hit!
Thanks very much for bringing me on, Bill. I hope you are recovering from Balan's Farmer Ted dance number. Let's take a look at Monster Hunter Rise. Will it rise up to the hype, or will it fall down a pitfall trap? Monster Hunter is a long-running action RPG series that sees you fighting big monsters, and they all behave like boss fights, with each monster offering its own challenges to overcome. Go after your target, get your materials, make new gear, and do it all over again. You have a variety of weapons to use, such as small and stabby weapons to move around and cut up monsters quickly, or you could use big massive weapons to bash in a monster's head in for massive damage. Whatever your playstyle is, you'll always have something to get the job done effectively, as well as a variety of potions and tools to help you out with. You fight monsters alone, or with your friends, and also with random players all over the world in co-op hub quests. And with an extremely active community, backup is always available via the join requests or with making your own lobby. With that said, let's take a look at what's new in Monster Hunter Rise. The wire bugs has a variety of uses. Primarily, you'll use these to help with getting around the map and reaching places you would not otherwise be able to normally reach, making getting where you need to go much easier this time around. You are able to chain jumps, get up on a place where you can jump off and then perform an aerial attack on a monster, hang in the air for a brief period of time, or use them to get out of a dangerous situation. The wire bugs can also be used offensively and defensively as special skills known as silk bind abilities, and each weapon has its own abilities, which can be anything from using a very powerful attack, a block that can allow you to counter attack if you are hit, buffing yourself, or even giving yourself extra mobility while your weapon's drawn. While it does take a bit of getting used to, it does actually feel natural once you do put the time into it, and it will give you that extra edge you need in fights, as well as being able to turn the environment into its own weapon. Another new addition to the series is the Palamute, who will become a hunter's best friend and an all-around good doggo. The Palamutes play very similar to Palicos in previous games in that they act as an AI character for the player to help them out in solo or in multiplayer. Where the Palamutes differ from Palicos is that they act as your mount, which helps with getting around the map much quicker and keeps you in the action as monsters run away after a brutal beatdown. You can even chain jumps off them and use your wire bugs to gain an extra distance or open up with an aerial attack. Palamutes have no class. They are straight up fighters and are much more aggressive compared to Palicos. Palamutes also have their own exclusive gear, such as an umbrella, which can be used like a shield, or metal jaws, which they can use to bite and attach themselves onto a monster. Palicos also make a reappearance, and this time around, they are much more focused on supporting the hunter, be it through healing, buffing, inflicting status, or even being able to pin down a monster. Also, the class system for Palicos is back, and each come with their own unique set of abilities to best suit your needs. And there's also 3 randomized abilities which any class can take. So for example, you can make your healer give you a temporary buff, have a trapping ability ready to be able to lock a monster down, and even further extend on the healer Palico's healing abilities by using healing bubbles. In co-op, you can choose to bring either the Palamute or the Palico along for whatever is your preference. Wyvern riding is a refinement of the mounting system from previous games. In older games, you would mount a monster and make it fall over in order for you to safely be able to go in and get a lot of damage. In Monster Hunter Rise, the monsters you can mount are now fully controllable, and you can use them to fight target monsters in order to get in a lot of damage and cause them to fall over, or control a target monster and force them to ram into walls for the same effect. I'll touch a bit into the story here, as Monster Hunter games aren't really known for their storytelling, but this does tie into the gameplay. There is a cataclysmic event known as the Rampage, where hundreds of large monsters work together in order to lay siege into Kimura. The Hunters Guild is the last line of defense against the Rampage, and they must find the source of the Rampage in order to stop the Rampage once and for all. Now here's a very different new game mode which doesn't play out like your usual quests. This is Tower Defense meets Monster Hunter. You must construct siege weapons and place bombs to fight off large waves of monsters and stop them from breaking through the gate. At the end of each wave is a boss monster, and it will have an extremely high amount of health. You have to throw everything you can at it in order to win. Exclusive to the Rampage is Apex monsters, which are stronger versions of your usual monsters, and they all bring their unique movesets and abilities. Going into my own thoughts with the game, I've had a really good time with Monster Hunter Rise. I came from Monster Hunter's Generations Ultimate. Playing this game now, it really shows how much Capcom has improved with this series, and they also took a lot of really good ideas from Worlds, and all of the new quality of life features. It made this game so much more accessible and much easier to pick up and play, and everything just feels so much more natural. I have been both the village and hub quest lines. I am currently using this time to try out other weapons and see how I get on with them. Speaking of which, being able to make new gear is way less of a grind than ever now compared to previous entries. It is just so easy to get all the materials you need within 1 or 2 fights, and you can easily pick up a new weapon. Online has been a fantastic experience. I've had no issues with finding players to go on quests with, nor have I ran into any issues online other than the rare occasional rubber banding issues. My only real issues I've had with this game is that there are elements of randomization still. These primarily come with the Palico loadouts and the Talisman's abilities. You have no control over what you get. But other than that, I've only found it to be a minor annoyance for a min-maxer like myself, and I also found it has not hurt my overall experience, so I say that isn't something really major you have to worry about in that area. Other than that, the aerial hitboxes are not all that good right now, and I've had plenty of times where I've been hit in the air where it clearly looks like I have been able to dodge an attack. And lastly, I felt that the starting lineup of monsters could have had at least a handful more of the recognizable faces such as Yain Garuga, for example, or Tetsukabra, which both would have fit the theme of Monster Hunter Rise very easily, and at least one extra Elder Dragon to fight. But by the time this video comes out, there will be an update which expands the roster, so that somewhat mitigates that issue anyway. But what did everyone think about Monster Hunter Rise? Did it rise up to your expectations? Let's find out.
Rice says, let's be honest, Monster Hunter has never been too story driven, it's a pretty basic plot point most of the time. The thing we stick around for is the countless amazing monsters you can fight alongside, endless progression to make the best weapons and armor sets for yourself. I think the community and the online hunts are the best thing about Monster Hunter. The gameplay is great too. You can really see they took the best parts of previous titles and improved upon them as they normally do, which makes the game even more fun, especially as someone coming all the way from PS2 Monster Hunter. Vanetta says it's got cool monsters in it and jumping off the dog is neat. James Christopher says, as the first Monster Hunter I have ever got past the first 30 minutes without getting bored, I enjoyed my 20 hours so far. They seem to have got the pacing a lot better for this one for newcomers. And Bill says, oh hey, that's me. There is still a lot of graphical clipping and long breaks in the action, but if you're looking for an entry point into the series to see if Monster Hunter is the game for you, this could be the one. So, adding up all the hits and the misses from the OLL community, 85% suggest you give Monster Hunter Rise a try. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts on this week's show, and a special thanks to Vagarous for taking the time to write and record this episode. You did a great job and should be very proud. I hope to have you back on the show again very soon. We love to hear your thoughts here at OLL, so if you would like to submit a review or be a part of the next Critical Hit, hop over to the OLL Facebook, Discord, YouTube or Twitch channel to have your say. This was Bill and Vagarous on behalf of the OLL community. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Laters.